Chapter 5. The parable of the baby mama and the beneficiary. When drama tried to cash a check from heaven's bank, the court of emotion, somewhere between heartbreak and hearing date, I discovered a truth. They don't print on summons. Family court is not about family. It's about administration. But long before the clerk stamped a case number, there was another courtroom, one held inside the heart. That's where Consuelo and I argued first. No gavels, no bailiff, just two passionate people, both convinced they were right. She brought feelings. I brought philosophy. She wanted closure. I wanted jurisdiction. Heaven looked on and sighed. Both are out of order. A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it till afterwards. Proverbs 29. The emotional trespass. You see, emotional trespass often precedes financial trespass. When the covenant breaks in spirit, the estate follows in paper. Every accusation becomes an invoice, every argument an affidavit. Consuelo said, "You left me." The state said, "You owe me." And heaven said, "Both of you forgot me." I didn't realize then that the baby mama was not the enemy. She was the mirror. Through her, I saw my unhealed places. Through court, I saw my undeclared boundaries. And through it all, the Most High was training a trustee. The beneficiary speaks without words. One night, after all the court drama and chaos, I looked into my child's eyes, the one they now call dependent, and I heard a silent voice say, "Daddy, am I an asset or an heir?" That question shattered me, for it reminded me that I had allowed Babylon to label what heaven had loved. My son was not a ledger entry. My daughter was not a case file. They were living trust of the Most High, born beneficiaries of the covenant. Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. Psalms 127, verse 3. So I repented, not to the system, but to the source. I began to treat my children not as dependents, but as co-heirs in my stewardship. They were not my property. They were my purpose. Turning conflict into covenant. Every father who's ever faced court knows that feeling. Your name echoing through the hallway like a debt collection notice. But the real summons isn't from the judge. It's from the Most High. He's calling men back to order. Conflict is heaven's classroom. Each argument an exam on patience. Each payment demands a test of peace. Each accusation a lesson in authority. When I began to see Consuelo not as opponent, but as instrument, I passed the test. For she was the hammer that forged my discipline. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. Proverbs 27:18. The administrative revelation. Here's what I learned. When the relationship fails, the state steps in as trustee, de son tort, a trustee by wrong. They manage your affairs not because they love your children, but because they claim you're incompetent to do so. Thus, every family case is an estate case in disguise. You are presumed insolvent emotionally and financially until you prove otherwise by competence and composure. That's why a calm spirit is more powerful than a lawyer. A peaceful countenance testifies that the house is in order. And once I entered the court as trustee of my own estate, not as participant in their narrative, the entire energy shifted. The comedy of custody. I remember one particular hearing, the judge asked, "Mr. Shofar, are you seeking joint custody?" I smiled and said, "Your Honor, I'm simply acknowledging that heaven already assigned." He squinted, unsure whether to laugh or hold me in contempt. I added gently, "The child belongs to God. I'm just the steward." That's all facts. The stenographer paused her typing. The bailiff smirked, and the court suddenly felt lighter. Even in laughter, the heart is sorrowful, and the end of that mirth is heaviness. Proverbs 14, verse 13. But that day, laughter became liberation, because once humor enters, fear exits. And where fear leaves, faith can file its appearance. Restoration over retaliation. When I stopped fighting Consuelo and started focusing on covenant, the drama lost its jurisdiction. We found a rhythm of peace, not perfection, but maturity. The energy that once funded conflict began funding legacy. Now, when she calls, it's not about dates. It's about school plays, graduations, visits, and the small miracles of life. Because heaven will not restore through revenge, only through righteousness. Maxim of the house. Where there is no peace between parents, there can be no prosperity for progeny. To every man or woman reading this, the moment you forgive, the trespasser loses standing. The moment you laugh, the adversary loses leverage. And the moment what once broke you, you inherit what no court can garnish. Peace. Moral of the scroll. Baby mama drama is not a curse. It's a curriculum. It teaches humility, discipline, and diplomacy. It reveals your weakness and refines your words. But above all, it reminds you that children are not pawns of paperwork, but promises are in progress. So whether you stand before a judge or before your mirror, remember the only case that truly matters is the one heaven filed. I love that. The case for your soul, your seed, and your stewardship. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. Thus ends chapter 5, the parable of the baby mama and the beneficiary, a lesson written in laughter and lineage, teaching that healing your heart is the first form of estate restoration. Man, that is the truth, man. Oh my gosh. I'm going to be giving y'all my live expressive commentary through this as I read it, because I'm being impacted and affected by this book.
This Hebrew house